You have a choker. Close up like this. Okay, then you have the medium. Then you have the big one. Okay. So we decided that on Independence Day, we will sit and talk about what we need to do as a country from the perspective of young people. And I've had a passion for talking about this matter, about what we need to do. Because as a country, if you look at the story of Ghana's independence, you see that we have had near misses, we have scored own goals, we have had over the bars, and very little things have determined our destiny in the way in which we find ourselves. Not everything has been bad over the last 65 years. Of course, Ghana was the first African country, sub-Sahara, to win independence from British colonial authority. And from the Ghanaian example, many other countries won independence. Ghana won independence in 1957 as a direct consequence of Ghana's independence. 3 years later, in 1960, about 25 to 30 African countries also won their independence the same way, by independence being agreed upon by the colonial authority, whether it was Britain or France or any other, including Italy for Somalia and all of that. So Ghana has had a good, interesting record. We have repeated the independence achievement with the 1992 Constitution. And if you look at since 1992, when Ghana set out the new Constitution, that setting up of a new Constitution has gone around many African countries, and we have seen Nigeria and others, everyone setting up under the Constitution. So Ghana has a great story, and today our GDP growth is very impressive. The size of our economy, given the size of our population, is quite impressive. And we have had successive governments being changed through the ballot box. So it's no longer a new story. In 2000, when we're covering politics, we're hearing that the first time that Ghana as a country is going to change president via the ballot box. Now we have seen it happen so many times. We are so used to that. So that's a good one. What I think we should do at this stage is what everybody is thinking, because somehow we are all looking for answers and solutions. We all think that this democracy has some deficits that we need to correct to be able to accelerate in our development. We want to be like the big countries of the world. We want to be like the developed countries of the world. We want to be like the European powers. We want to be like the Americas. And we can be like that because it's about resources and it's about organizing our resources. So people are concerned about corruption. People are concerned about this and that. I think the fundamental concern that we ought to have is about this book. This is the Superstructure. And in this conversation, I'm going to have two young people who are going to be talking with me about this matter. This is the Superstructure. This is the 1992 Constitution. Everything that we do comes out of it. So we can catch all the corruption we want. But if we do not fix the Superstructure and there are fundamental problems with the Superstructure, then there's going to be an issue. Now, I see fundamental problems with the Superstructure. How do I see it? And we've said it so many times. Now, by and large, generally, people agree that we need some important amendments to the 1992 Constitution. What kind of amendment or what form should they take? We have heard President Akufo-Addo say that he does not believe in the wholesale amendments of the Constitution. There's a Constitution that has served us 30 years, and so we need to look at it carefully. He, however, proposes a few amendments, some of which we agree with him. And we are going to make some proposals. We also agree at the outset, I have to say, that we don't think that this Constitution should be overthrown and wholesale another Constitution brought. We think that whatever changes we want can be amended. And so let me come back to the fundamental question. Why are we saying that our country is not working the way that we want it to work? Why are we saying that? We are saying that because there are certain key ingredients of a working or a workable society that are missing from the implementation of politics that we see in our society. One of the fundamental things that is missing is accountability. The accountability of the government to the governed, the accountability of elected officials to those who elected them. The systems of accountability have not been sufficiently grounded in the 1992 Constitution. We can debate on why it is so, or even if it is so at all. We believe that it is so. But why it is so, we can debate on it. We think that the Constitution was tailor-made for a military ruler, and therefore they didn't put all of those accountability steps in. So accountability is the first problem that we have to solve. The other thing we have to solve is the winner-takes-all situation that is created by the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. Because if you have a winner-takes-all in an African society like this, then you have a problem. Okay, how do we solve the accountability problem? What is the accountability problem? In fact, that's the first question to be asked. The accountability problem is that here in Ghana, when a president is elected by the people, in a particular December, and he's sworn into office on the 7th of January, that president, it would appear, is not accountable to answer any question before anyone until the next election. Here is a man who has won the elections by a super majority, that means over 50%. He's been sworn into office, he's going to appoint everyone. The president has excessive appointive powers, and we have looked at that, and all the executive authority of state is vested in him. But he doesn't have, the constitution does not say that he should answer questions or he should have a certain form of dialogue. He can do it as a choice, that he wants a second term. If he's a first-term president, he wants a second term. Therefore, he has to organize himself in a way that civil society and the general public will see it as good. But that is a choice. So he does those things as though he's doing a gift to us. If we have to fix the accountability deficits in the constitution, then we have to change the system. And our proposal is that we have to look at the political system and pick the political system that better gives us the accountability situation. I look at it, and you can look at it, and we have looked at it, and we think that if you look at the United Kingdom's political system, not that it's better than us or ours is better than them or is better than the American, but it solves the problem that we have in this society. The problem that we have in the society is accountability. We are looking for a system that will draw out accountability from our leaders. And you will see that in the British political system, you can get that. You have, however, a bicephalous executive authority divided between a prime minister and a president. That's the system that we used to operate in Ghana anyway. It will not be new to us. We've operated that system in Ghana before. We operated it from 1951 until 1960. When Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was fighting all the independence battles, it was with a system of government that threw up a lot of accountability. That's why you had the quality of politics high up in those days. That's why you had all of that. Because there, the Prime Minister, who held executive authority, was in Parliament every day. He was required to be a member of Parliament. We don't have to swallow hook, line, and sinker everything the British parliamentary system is doing. But we have to design a system that gives accountability at the outset. Accountability must be made a main fabric of the dispensation of political leadership in Ghana. The distribution of political leadership, the dispensation of it, the orientation of it, the context of it must all ooze out accountability. And for that to happen, we have to have accountability embedded in the political system that we select. Otherwise, we are not going that far. And we have protected this constitution that long. We need to continue to protect it, not just to protect the constitution, but essentially the constitution must begin to deliver the development goals of our people. Otherwise, why did we do it? So we've done it, it's created stability, which we all love, but beyond stability, we now need to deliver 80% of the development goals and the development ambitions of our people. And to do that, we have to ingrain a new form of accountability. So we have to look at the Constitution and see which parts we are meant to create that accountability. I'm going to be talking to young people. They'll be asking questions about that, and then we can all, you can put your questions on this Facebook page, and hopefully we can answer it. But accountability is the first thing. So we need a parliamentary system of government, which means all leaders are members of parliament. The president or prime minister is a member of parliament. Once a week, he has to answer parliamentary questions. He has to answer questions himself. The chief executive of the country is presented to parliament to answer questions himself. In Britain, all ministers are also members of parliament. We can design one that is different. We can have the prime minister being able to appoint some particular ministers from outside parliament. They don't need to be members of parliament, but they are accountable to parliament. We have something similar. What we have here, we say it's a novelty. We looked at the British political system and the American system, and we put it together and we call it a hybrid. So we can do another hybrid, but essentially let's make sure that accountability is ingrained in the new political dispensation. On Independence Day, this is the conversation that I think young people should be having. What should we do about our republic? I think that we should set out the accountability quotient clearly. And so we have to begin to think to amend the political system. Even if it's entrenched, we have to go to a referendum and amend the political system and have that happening. So accountability is the first that we are talking about. Let's amend our constitution to create an accountability system for the dispensation of political authority and political leadership.
So you made mention of accountability, which is very important, but if you look at the current political dispensation, there has been a conscious effort to ensure our leaders are accountable. So if you look at the judiciary, the provisions of the judiciary in the constitution, if you look at triage, the first time triage was mentioned, for instance, was in the 1969 constitution, but we have developed it, we've made an effort to develop it in the 1992 constitution. What then is the problem? The real problem with the current constitution that requires an overhaul as you are proposing?
That's an interesting one, and the point that you're making is valid. The point I'm making, however, is that the leader of the one who holds executive authority, according to the Constitution, is the president. He has appointive authority. He controls the public purse. He actually even controls the bills that go to Parliament because they go through the executive. He's the head of the executive. He controls everything, and he's elected accordingly or consequently by a supermajority, 50% plus one. That individual who occupies that position for the next 4 years does not have those accountability strings pulling him down within the Constitution, pulling down, quote and unquote. It doesn't ooze out of the presidential office onto the people. The accountability of the president is not there. And if you look at our system, what is really missing is that accountability thing. And we have to do politics to resolve the difficulties that we have. And accountability has not been resolved by the 1992 Constitution. We have to find a way to do it. And one of the ways I proposed sometime back to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, no, is that what they call Constitutional Amendments Committee? I proposed to them that we should Constitutional Review Committee. Yes. I proposed to them that we should have the president doing a presidential question time, like the prime ministerial question time, once every quarter, once every month, so that we can at least infuse the accountability around the presidency into this constitution. But I think that if we want to change the system into a parliamentary system, it gives us not just accountability of the leader, however we want to call it. We can call it president, we can call it prime minister, we can call it anything. As I said, we don't have to swallow the British system, but we have to design a system that brings out accountability in the superstructure, not the thing we have with Sraj and Iyoko. And those tools can also be abused by partisan political presidents or a group of people who are using those tools to chase the other people. Let's have the superstructure itself imbibing the accountability context and principle.
But don't you think, if you look at the system we have, it is, the remnants of a legacy where in the UK the head of states is not necessarily accountable to the people, is the head of government, right? So in an attempt for us to place that shield around the president, the president is the fount of honor. You remember Tufo and Attorney General statements made about the head of state as the fount of honor. Wouldn't it then be counterintuitive or counterproductive to constantly haul him before Parliament for him to be asked questions? Potentially, if you look at how some parliamentarians can be, it can be quite frustrating for the president and would defeat that idea that the head of state is the fount of honor.
You're very right, and that's a very interesting point. And as we were talking, I remember the role of the sessional address, because the framers of the Constitution thought that the sessional address would help for the president to come to Parliament to speak, but that's not a question time. In fact, you can't ask him any question. Parliament then debates it. So you may be right about that. It's something we need to think about. And so we can devolve the authority into a bicephalous executive where we have somebody else becoming the fountain of honor, and we have the leader of government answerable to the people all the time, even if it's the leader of government that's elected. You know that in Britain, they don't directly elect the prime minister. We can decide to directly elect a president who can appoint another person, that's just a suggestion, to do the ceremonial work and become the fountain of honor, like a chief or the president of the regional house of chiefs. They take a 4-year term and that kind of thing. But the person who is controlling executive authority, I think, should have a certain accountability under the superstructure, which is the Grundnorm, which is the Constitution, rather than the way we try to achieve accountability in Ghana. It's not work. We've been doing it since 1992. It's not work. So the way it works is that a political party loses election, then the new political party comes. They become the whip of accountability over their opponents, and they are chasing them over the first 4 years, first 1 year. They've stolen that. They are doing court cases. We've seen trials that have gone nowhere, like the Ghana at 50 trial. It didn't go anywhere. It's really a political tool, pressure on the new political party to chase them, because they did it. There was no accountability in the process. If there was accountability, the questions of Ghana at 50 would have been answered by the president of the day, because he would have had a forum where he needs to address it. But those things became rumors. They were lingering around as rumors. So a new political party comes in and then they come and deal with it. The death of the Yana, which we have now gladly solved, was one such issue. Never the president of the day able to have a forum to be asked that what happened with the Yana issue, so that he can say it as part of the superstructure. We don't have that. So I think it's something we can continue thinking about as we move on. Next is about the winner takes all situation. So we've had the winner takes all. Under the Constitution, again, the winner takes all situation. What is winner takes all? Winner takes all means that you go into parliament, we go to parliamentary and presidential elections every 4 years. Whoever wins the parliamentary election and wins the presidential election, if we have that kind of situation, that's what we've had since 1992. The party that has won the presidential election has won the parliamentary election. Some people say it's a good thing because the president can govern with it, yes. But if you create a winner takes all situation, what you are creating is opposition politicians who see opposition in politics as a career. And they're going to run down the government and kick the government. The last time I interviewed Archbishop Duncan Williams, he talked about that. Have a listen.
What we are doing right now, we're not going anywhere. Because watch this, I'm telling you, what we are doing right now, I want you to stand. Let me show you something. Just stand. If I'm in opposition, just face this way. If I'm in opposition and you are in office, I hold your leg like that. Try to move.
Yeah.
Try to move.
I cannot move.
Try to do something. You are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I will make sure I circumvent you and sabotage you until you leave office.
Wow.
And when you also come,
same thing.
I will also do the same to you. So I don't wish you well, you don't wish me well. So the nation is bleeding. The nation is bleeding.
So you heard him. This one takes the power, they make sure this one will fail. This one takes the power, they make sure this one will fail. You know why that happens? That happens because we have a winner takes all situation. We need to deconstruct that. We need to break that. And under the Constitution, that's the whole point about the point that Akufo-Addo was making, that let's elect our mayors. Now, I need to deal with this mayor situation very clearly so people can understand it. Decentralization is an important aspect of political dispensation anywhere in the world. Now, the colonial authority left us with something that we have not changed. The only way we can change it is to have our mayors elected, and I'll come to the question of whether we should elect them on partisan lines, because it would appear that by the time that Akufo-Addo withdrew the bill from Parliament, many Ghanaians agreed that yes, we should elect our mayors, but they did not agree on partisan lines because all sorts of issues were raised. We'll deal with all of those things. Now, okay, so the colonial authority created a certain situation in the country. They built Accra, and Accra was not built for Accra. Accra was not built for the Gold Coast. Accra was built as a support base for London. That's all what it was. Takoradi was built as a support base for London, for London's economy, for London's housing, for London's roads, and for the development of London and Liverpool and Manchester and all of those places. That is what the colonial power did. You can't blame him for that. That he was running a business. So he finds a territory that is interesting in terms of resource. He uses the resources to develop his home. So they didn't build Accra to have any relationship with Kokrentumi. No, they don't care. Unless Kokrentumi had diamond or some resource that they wanted, then they would do a railway from Accra to Kokrentumi. The railway will have a multiplier effect of people being able to travel from Accra to Kokrentumi on the sleeper and all of that and enjoy it. But that's not the principal reason. The principal reason they create a railway from Kokrentumi to Accra is that they want to bring the diamonds to Accra. Accra will put it in the plane and it goes to London. They sold on the international markets. The money is used to build a road, a dual carriage, trial carriage from Liverpool to Birmingham, built by Ghana's diamond or Ghana's gold or Nigeria's oil. And that's the colonial mentality. That's what it is. So we have inherited this. And the way in which we can deconstruct that is to create a very massive decentralization situation where our mayors are elected and they are accountable for it. It will break the winner takes all, and it will help us to distribute the wealth appropriately. So that when somebody is elected as a mayor of Accra, whether it's NDC or MPP, he has an obligation. See, the reason why you have to do it on a partisan lines is because you need to create the obligation on the back of the person. He has to have an obligation that I'm an NDC person with an MPP government, or I'm MPP with NDC government, I'm the mayor, I need to show what my party can do. And you create that competition. The people benefit. The development agenda benefits because people are competing and falling over themselves to be able to show that they can do Takoradi better than their opponents, to be able to show that they can do Ho better than their opponents, to be able to show that Kumasi will be outstanding because it was us who did Kumasi, as the political party. If you create that kind of situation, the people benefit. Recently, there was a mayor in Takoradi also who got into trouble, and the political pressure was put and all of that. Eventually, the president in his wisdom decided to suspend him. But assuming the president did not decide to suspend him, no one can touch him. But if he had been elected by the people, imagine that he had been elected by the people on the basis of an NDC ticket. An MPP is in government in Accra, and NDC is holding the mayorship there, and he had done what he did, he will be up for the next election in defeat. And because he knows, he would have known that he's been elected by the people, he will not have those exchanges with the policeman as he did. But he knows that the president appointed him from Accra. All of you standing around Kwesimin team, you didn't appoint him. The president appointed him from Accra. So he's beholden to the president in Accra. The president is not even fully apprised of the dynamics of the area because he has 275 constituencies to deal with, 261 districts to deal with. No president is, unless you're superhuman, you're not going to be apprised of all that situation at your desk at the Jubilee House. So that's why the guy behaved like that. It is essential that we have to convince President Akufo-Addo to bring back that amendment. Let us amend it and let's have our DCs elected on partisan lines. People talk about the fact that there's too much partisanship in Ghana and we are cutting each other's throats. That is the success of our constitution. The success of our constitution has been in the spirit that here in Ghana, partisanship does not end in death. It doesn't end in war because we have gone to elections that have had 25,000 separating 10 million voters and nobody died. The loser accepted defeat. I'm talking about 2008 election. Nana Akufo-Addo accepted defeat on 25,000 difference between he and Professor Mills on 10 million people voting. That's significant. That doesn't happen even in Europe. Those are the good things about Ghana that sometimes we have to remember. And on Independence Day, it's important to share the good things about Ghana, isn't it? It's a very good thing. So partisanship has never killed us. In 2008, we scaled it. In 2012, we scaled it. In 2020, we scaled it. So we have demonstrated that however partisan we are towards the process, at the time when the verdict comes, we accept the verdict. It is necessary at this stage that we do elect our mayors on partisan lines so that the power of the president to appoint 261 district chief executives is gone to the people. It is reducing the winner takes all. It is reducing the excessive power of the president. It is building a community. It's building a community for a society. So we need that. We need mayors elected on partisan. Accra mayor, Kumasi mayor, Takoradi mayor, Leteshi mayor, Lugwa mayor, Adenta mayor. They're going to run on partisan lines. And the opposition is going to be busy because the opposition will also be an executive authority. One party is not going to win all the 261 districts. NDC are going to win some, MPP are going to win some. So it's important on Independence Day that we have this conversation for you young people to listen and decide whether you want to participate in it, because the aggregate of all of us talking about it will be the implementation.
Paul, you propose that we elect MMDCs on partisan lines. That is fine, but don't you think that we do not have the capacity to fund such elections, especially for the fact that in 2016 we received support from USAID, in 2020 the EC received support from the EU. Don't you think that in going to run such elections, you are going to spend a double of whatever we already spent? And a country like Ghana, and looking at our economy, we do not have what it takes to fund such elections. Do you think that we have the ability to raise funds to cater for, such a venture?
That's interesting. I mean, well, we've been funding our elections, and some people say that the money that we use to fund our elections, we shouldn't use it. We should use it to build roads and stop the election. But the cost of that, the cost of a stable democracy is always expensive. I mean, if we're going to elect DCs, we should have a critical look at whether we want to continue to elect members of parliament or whether we should do the proportional representation. I think that the best way to have this is to have a broad think about it and decide that we will elect MMDCs, that the people who are taking taxes from us are the people that we will elect, the president and the MMDCs. Members of parliament don't take taxes from us. They legislate, but they don't take the taxes from us. We don't pay it to them. So for groups of people that we don't pay taxes to, we shouldn't elect. Those that we pay taxes to, we should elect them. As they used to say in the 40s, no taxation without representation. So the person that we are paying the tax to, we should elect him. The one that we are not paying taxes to, no money is going to him, he's a legislator, we don't need to elect. But it's a conversation that we can have among that.